January 2nd, 1943, Guadalcanal, Solomon Islands. The jungle was a furnace. Steam rose from the ground with every breath. Rain dripped from leaves the size of helmets, hissing on the hot barrels of rifles. Somewhere in that tangled green hell, the 132nd Infantry Regiment of the U.S. Army crouched, waiting. Private Jack Mallory, 22, from Iowa, wiped sweat from his brow and glanced at the rifle in his hands, the new M1 Garand. 8 rounds, gas-operated, semi-automatic. The Army had called it the rifle that won't jam, won't quit, and won't wait. His squad leader, Sergeant Donovan, leaned close. "Keep your eyes open. Scouts say they're dug in ahead, 70, maybe 80 yards. Mallory nodded, thumb resting on the safety. The air smelled of rot, mud, and gun oil. Flies buzzed around a half-buried helmet in the ditch. Then came the sound, a faint metallic click echoing through the rain. Japanese troops. From behind the ferns, a burst of machine gun fire ripped through the trees, shredding leaves, splitting branches. The squad hit the ground, mud splashing into their faces. "MG on the ridge, return fire," Donovan shouted. Mallory rolled onto his side, aimed through the foliage, and squeezed the trigger. Bang, bang, bang. 4 perfect shots in less than 3 seconds. Brass casings spun through the air, glinting in the gray light before vanishing into the mud. Across the clearing, a Japanese rifleman jerked backward, collapsing into the brush, his comrades staring, stunned. One of them, a young corporal armed with an Arisaka Type 99, blinked in disbelief. He'd expected a single shot, maybe 2. But the American weapon barked again and again with mechanical precision. 8 rounds in a heartbeat. Then came the distinctive ping, the sound of the Garand's clip ejecting into the air. The Japanese soldier ducked instinctively, thinking it was a grenade. It wasn't, it was worse. Because the American who fired it was already reloading, faster than any bolt action could ever manage. A week earlier, in a Japanese forward camp overlooking the Matanikau River, Lieutenant Hajime Sato had studied a captured M1 Garand. He turned it over in his hands, brow furrowed. "Too heavy," he muttered in Japanese. "Too complex. Wasteful of ammunition," his men laughed. The Imperial Army prized discipline, 1 shot, 1 kill. The Arisaka rifle was elegant, simple, accurate. To them, the American semi-automatic was a farmer's toy, designed for soldiers too weak to master marksmanship. But today, in the green maze of Guadalcanal, that toy was cutting through his lines like thunder. Mallory's rifle smoked in his hands. He slammed in a fresh clip, the clang echoing off the trees. Donovan crawled up beside him, shouting over the gunfire. "Keep laying it on him. They're breaking." The jungle roared with the sound of the M1, sharp, rhythmic, merciless. For the Japanese soldiers who'd mocked it, it was the sound of something alien, not a single rifleman, but an entire line of them firing faster than any human hand could work a bolt. Private Mallory advanced through the smoke and rain, eyes narrowed, trigger steady. A Japanese sniper took aim, too late. Mallory's rifle spat fire. The sniper fell from his perch like a cut rope. When the firing finally stopped, the jungle went silent again. The only sound left was the rain, dripping onto spent brass. Donovan sat down heavily beside Mallory, breathing hard. "You see that, kid? They didn't even know what hit him." Mallory nodded, still shaking. "They thought we had machine guns." Donovan grinned. "We don't need him." He looked at the rifle, mud-caked, still smoking, still warm, and said quietly, "Garand's the best damn rifle ever built." That night, as the soldiers of the 132nd cleaned their weapons under flickering lanterns, rumors spread down the line. The Japanese were calling the M1 the 8-shot demon. They thought every American carried a light machine gun. They weren't far from the truth. The mist clings to Hill 27, cold and damp. Dawn is just a rumor, a faint graying in the east. I'm Private Mallory, and this little patch of mud and jungle has been our home for 3 days. Beside me, Sergeant Donovan scans the ridge, his jaw set. He hasn't said a word in an hour, but he doesn't need to. We all feel it, that electric hum of anticipation, the kind that makes the hair on your arms stand up. Every rustle of leaves, every distant bird call, sounds like a threat. I run a hand over the smooth, worn stock of my M1 Garand. It feels solid, real, a piece of home in this godforsaken place. It's more than just wood and steel. It's an 8-round promise of a fighting chance. Movement, Corporal Dorsey whispers, the word a puff of smoke in the cool air. He points toward a dense thicket of bamboo just below the ridge. My heart hammers against my ribs. Sergeant Donovan raises his binoculars, his knuckles white. "Get ready," he murmurs, his voice low and steady. "Mallory on my signal." I nod, my throat suddenly dry. I checked the action on my Garand one last time. Smooth, clean. I thumbed the end-block clip, feeling the weight of those 30.06 rounds. In this moment, with the unknown waiting in the shadows, this rifle is my only certainty. The air grows thick, heavy with unspoken fear and grim determination. Time seems to slow down, each second stretching into an eternity. We are a line of ghosts waiting for the sun and for the fight it will bring. Then the world explodes. Shouts in a language I don't understand cut through the jungle quiet, followed by the crack of enemy rifles. We return fire, a coordinated roar of American steel. Sergeant Donovan is a rock, directing our fire, his voice cutting through the chaos. Beside him, I work my M1. Fire, eject, ping. The familiar rhythm is a comfort. Reload, fire again. The Garand doesn't jam, doesn't falter, it just works. Each distinctive asterisk, ping asterisk of an empty clip is a small victory, a punctuation mark in the brutal symphony of battle, instantly followed by the satisfying asterisk shunk asterisk of a fresh clip sliding home. This rifle, this incredible machine, is what keeps us in the fight. It's our lifeline, our anchor in the storm. As the first wave of the assault breaks against our position, I know this battle and this war will be won by men and the tools they trust with their lives. As quickly as it began, the attack fades. The jungle is quiet again, save for the groans of the wounded and the ringing in our ears. The sun is higher now, cutting through the mist, revealing the cost of the morning's fight. We held, we're still here. I looked down at my M1, its barrel still hot. It's just a rifle, but today, on this hill, it was the difference. It represents a kind of brutal, beautiful reliability that you have to experience to understand. It's a testament to the idea that in the worst moments, the right tool can give you the strength to endure. Thanks for watching our story. If you appreciate historical content like this, consider liking and subscribing for more. Stay safe. March 1944, Saipan, Mariana Islands. The morning fog hung heavy over the coral ridges. Palm trees swayed under distant artillery fire, their fronds shredded into ragged silhouettes. The U.S. Marines had been advancing for hours, mud up to their knees, rifles slick with salt spray and blood. Private Jack Mallory trudged forward, now hardened by a year of jungle war. His uniform was torn, sun-bleached, and filthy. The rifle in his hands, his same M1 Garand, still gleamed like steel salvation. 8 rounds of certainty. "Move up," shouted Sergeant Donovan, now with a scar across his jaw and a voice that sounded like gravel. "Flank that ridge. There's a bunker up top." The men pushed forward, crouching low among the volcanic rocks. Ahead, the Japanese positions were hidden in the cliffs, concrete pillboxes carved into stone, machine guns spitting death. Tracer rounds tore through the air like fireflies. A Marine fell beside Mallory. Another crawled forward, clutching a satchel charge. Mallory aimed. Bang, bang. 3 shots, 3 hits. Each casing ejected with the rhythmic hiss of steam and gunpowder. His rifle barked with such speed and precision that the Japanese gunners froze for a heartbeat, just long enough for the Marines to storm the bunker. Inside, it was chaos. Close quarters combat in the dark, the air thick with smoke and fear. Mallory slammed another clip into his Garand clang and fired point blank. The weapon recoiled against his shoulder, but it didn't jam, didn't misfire, didn't stop. It simply did its job. Hours later, after the ridge had been taken, the surviving Japanese soldiers were herded from the tunnels. Among them was Lieutenant Hajime Sato, thinner now, face hollow, eyes sunken. He had survived Guadalcanal, only to find the same nightmare here, the same rifle, the same sound. He watched as Marines patrolled past him, the Garands slung casually over their shoulders, gleaming under the Pacific sun. To him, they looked almost casual, relaxed even, like men who trusted their weapons completely. A fellow prisoner muttered bitterly, "We have courage, but they have machines." Sato shook his head slowly. "No," he said quietly. "They have rhythm." He turned his gaze toward the sea, where landing craft kept coming, wave after wave of American soldiers, each armed with that same steel heartbeat that had haunted him since Guadalcanal. The sound still echoed in his ears. Bang, bang, a pause. Ping, then again. Bang, bang, bang. It wasn't just the noise of gunfire. It was the pulse of an empire in motion, a nation whose factories built faster than his soldiers could reload. That night, as the Marines dug in under the tropical stars, Mallory sat cleaning his rifle by the glow of a red-lensed flashlight. He worked methodically, wiping the barrel, re-greasing the mechanism, loading a fresh clip. Donovan leaned against a rock beside him, lighting a cigarette. "You know, back home, they said this thing was over-engineered. Too complicated, too expensive," Mallory smiled faintly. "Guess they never fought on a goddamn island." Donovan exhaled smoke into the dark. "Nope, but every man who carries one comes home because of it." He glanced at the rifle, tapping its metal stock. "You can keep your tanks and planes. This here's the real reason we winning." Across the island, Japanese soldiers lay silent in the fields, their Arisaka rifles clutched tightly in lifeless hands. Bolt-action weapons designed for a different war, a slower war, a war of patience that no longer existed. In the age of the M1 Garand, patience was death. June 1944, Washington, D.C., at a War Department press conference. General George S. Patton stood at a podium, his voice booming across the hall. "The M1 Garand is the greatest battle implement ever devised." The reporter scribbled furiously, his words echoing through every paper in America. But for the men who had carried it through hell, Mallory, Donovan, and thousands more, no praise was needed. They already knew. They had seen what happened when courage met technology, when a rifle became not just a weapon, but a symbol of unstoppable momentum. March 1945, Iwo Jima. Smoke drifted from Mount Suribachi. In the distance, Marines raised the stars and stripes. And somewhere below, among the trenches and ash, an M1 Garand pinged for the last time. The war in the Pacific was nearly over, and the rifle that the Japanese once mocked as clumsy American metal had become the voice of victory. The sound that had started in the jungles of Guadalcanal would now echo across history.